Good morning once again. In my second tutorial video, I discussed the continuation of the different financial reports or the financial statements. And I also discussed the generally accepted accounting principles or the GAAP, the basic accounting assumptions, the different business organizations, and the nature of business. Now we're going to discuss the accounting elements. What are those accounting elements? Accounting elements are the means of identifying the items affected by a transaction and events. Again, the means of identifying the items affected by transaction or events. Ibig sabihin, in advance, ang nire-recordan pala natin sa books of accounts ay yung mga accounting elements na maaapektuhan ng bawat transaction. I-review natin ang yung transaction before as we discussed. Transaction is an exchange of values, which involves the value received and the value parted with, which we assume to be equal in value. Okay. What are those accounting elements? We name that ALOEDRE. Okay, pangalan natin ALOEDRE. So, A stands for assets, L stands for liabilities, OE, of course, owner's equity. You can see there the drawing account. It is a contra-equity account, okay? Kalaban niya ng equity, which as ma-discuss pa natin in brief in the future. Revenues for R, or the income, and E for expenses. The first three accounting elements can be gleaned in our statement of financial condition. We call that the balance sheet. That's why we call that balance sheet accounts. And also that is called real accounts or the permanent accounts. While the remaining two, the revenue and expenses, can be gleaned our statement of comprehensive income, or we call that one income statement. That's why we call that nominal accounts or temporary accounts. Temporary accounts because at the end of the accounting period, it is being closed. I will start over again at the start of every accounting period. Review nga tayo, ano ba yung accounting period natin? We got the, what? The calendar period, which starts from January 1 and ended December 31 of our calendar. Next accounting period, the fiscal period. So, any month of the year provided it is not January 1 and to complete the 12 months, so yun ang ating fiscal period. We have also the so-called interim period that is within the 12-month period. It might be monthly, quarterly, or every 3 months, semi-annually, or every 6 months, and annually, that is 12 months. Okay, review lang po yun. Now, let us discuss in depth those ALOEDRE or those accounting elements. First, of course, the A, the assets. Na-discuss ko yan in brief sa previous session natin. Yung assets natin, ito yung mga property owned by an individual or by an enterprise. So, meron siyang legal right over that. And that is the result of the past transaction. Past transaction kasi, for example, yung cellphone natin or gadget natin. Paano ba tayo magkakaroon ng gadget natin? So, we have to purchase. We have to bought it. We have to acquire it. So, past transaction. So, kailangan mangyari mo nang bumili tayo bago maging atin. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng assets natin. Ayan, basa natin. So, ito ay categorized into two. We have the current assets and the non-current assets. So, let me pose a question to you by this point of time. Look around you. Kahit nasa bahay kayo due to COVID-19 pandemic, what are your assets at home? Can you give me an example? Ano ba yung property owned dyan sa bahay nyo? Can I hear a television? Yes, you're right. Yung mga upuan nyo. Yes. Furniture and fixtures, yung bahay nyo. So, asset po yun. Yung typical example ng mga assets natin. Kaya lang, ika-categorize natin into two, current assets or non-current assets. Ayan. Yung current assets natin, ito yung very liquid natin. It might be the cash na meron tayo, or those accounts that can be easily converted into cash in the future. So, idadaan natin sa accounting terminology or accounting definition. Current assets refers to all assets that are expected to be realized. Expected to be realized. Expected to be realized. Expected to become money. Okay? Example, we have the merchandise, the goods. Ayan. So, yun, magiging money yun siya. Sold or consumed within the normal course of the enterprise operating cycle. So, ginagamit siya sa day-to-day business operation. Ano ba yung enterprise operating cycle? Ito yung example ng cycle. Siyempre, kung pag-cycle, meron siyang starting point. So, idaan natin sa service concern, no nature of business. So, ano bang start ng kanilang operating cycle? So, service concern, example, beauty parlor. So, papasok yung client mo, start ng operating cycle, magugupit ka sa kanya, or maybe magkukulot ka sa kanya, or magdaday ka ng hair niya. Okay, yun siya. Pag matapos mo na yun, at nakakakulik ka na ng pera, so yun yung end ng operating cycle mo kung nakulik mo yung pera. And then, papasok naman na other time, start of the operating cycle, magre-render ka naman ng service, paano kung inutang sa'yo? Paano kung inutang sa'yo? So, the moment na makukulik mo yung receivable mo dun sa client mo, na umutang sa'yo nung nag-render ka ng paggupit sa kanya, at nakulik mo na yung receivable mo, yung utang ng client mo, yun yung end ng operating cycle. Yun sa service concern. What if pagdating sa merchandising concern, yung sa buy and sell natin? So, yung start ng operating cycle nila. Yung start ng operating cycle nila, nung bumili siya ng goods or ng merchandise para ibenta niya. Para ibebenta niya. So, yun, binenta niya, sinold out niya, okay, in cash. So, end ng accounting cycle nung nagiging cash na yung kanyang mga paninda. Paano kung inutang yung mga paninda mo? O, ganun pa din. So, start ng operating cycle, bumili ka ng mga goods mo, next, nagpautang ka, nang nakolek mo yung pinautang mo, yun ang end na kanyang operating cycle. Paano naman sa agriculture? Start of operating cycle, nung nag-flow ka doon sa land mo, i-cultivate mo yun, nagtanim ka, naging mature na o ripe na yung products natin, hinarvest na siya, binenta mo, so nung naging pera na yung mga tinanim mo na hinarvest mo, yun ang end ng operating cycle. Sana maging maliwanag tayo doon. So, yun ang basihan pala ng pag-categorize natin kung current assets siya. So, kung ganun ang current assets natin, the opposite or the reverse, okay, ang ating non-current assets. Ayan. Ayan. So, typical example of current assets, pinasadahan ko na kanina, we got the cash, petty cash fund. Ito, bagong terminology sa inyo. Ano ba yung petty cash fund? Ano ibig sabihin ng petty na root word? Maliit. Sobrang maliit. So, petty cash fund, it is a cash set aside to cater small expenses. Kumbaga, kung meron kang pera sa bangko, nag-withdraw ka doon ng pera sa bangko, sinet aside mo, ilalagay mo siya sa box, we call that petty cash fund. Merong tagahawak ng pera, parang treasurera siya kumbaga. Ang tawag naman sa kanya is petty cash fund custodian. Ano bang pwedeng paggagamitan ng petty cash fund? Yung maliliit na gastusin, for example, pamasahe 10 pesos lang, alam nga namang mag-i-issue pa tayo ng cheque. Alam nga namang pupuntahin pa natin siya sa bangko just to pay the pamasahe or the fare of 10 pesos. So that is petty cash fund. Or maliliit ang pagbili ng mga office supplies. So pwede nang bayaran ng through ng petty cash fund. Okay? So, ayan. Next is the notes receivable. Ito yung ating promissory note received from our client from rendering of services maybe or from selling our goods. Okay, ito yung in short, in Tagalog, ito yung ating ebidensya na meron tayo na tayo ay nagpautang. Meron siyang in-issue or binigay sa atin na promissory note. Example, ako yung school. Ito yung typical example. Ako yung school, tapos ikaw yung estudyante. Wala kang pambayad ng tuition fee, medyo gipit pa ang nanay at tatay natin. So, mag-i-execute ng promissory note yung tatay at nanay ninyo na mapapromise kayo na babayaran siya, for example, by next month. So, meron akong claim from you. Okay, notes receivable ko yun. Which is, the notes receivable or the promissory note rather can be interest-bearing. Interest. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng merong sasabihin doon na payable siya for 6% per annum or magbabayad kayo ng interest pa sa akin with that promissory note that you issued to me. So, it might be interest-bearing or non-interest-bearing. Ano pa makikita natin sa notes receivable? Of course, nandun yung principal due, amount due, and the term, or kung kailan ba mag-due yung promissory note mo sa akin. Yan ang notes receivable. Wherein the accounts receivable, halos ganun pa din. It is a result of selling some goods or after rendering some services at inutang sa atin. So we have that financial claim over our debtor or over to our client. Yun naman yun. Sample, sari-sari store, again. Ako yung sari-sari store owner. Okay, ito yung negosyo ko. Umutang ka sa akin ng tinapa or tuna flakes in oil. So, nag-promise na piki lang, babayaran ko ito bukas. So, that is an accounts receivable. So, meron akong financial claim over sa iyo as a result of selling goods to you and the promise is just verbal. Okay, promise na is just verbal. Inventories. Ito yung mga unsold goods natin. Ito yung assets natin held for sale. For example, sa sari store, ito yung mga paninda natin na hindi pa naibenta. Yun sa merchandise concern. Mga paninda natin na hindi pa nabenta. Yun yung typical example ng inventories. We call that merchandise inventory. What if pagdating naman sa manufacturing concern, yung gumagawa ng mga tuna flakes in oil, yung nagpo-produce, yung nagmamanufacture, na yung kanilang mga inventories. It might be the finished goods, yung dilata na hindi pa nila naibenta. Or it might be the raw materials na hindi pa na-process. Okay? Or yung mga naumpisa na hindi pa natapos. Yun ang typical example ng inventories pagdating sa manufacturing concern. So, into lang tayo. Prepaid expenses. Ano ba yun? Ito yung portion ng ating expenses. Portion, part of expenses that is paid in advance but not yet expired or hindi pa gamit. Bigyan natin example para maintindihan natin. Siguro naman meron nakakarinig kayo ng mga insurance policy. For example, nagbayad tayo or bumili tayo ng isang insurance policy. It is a 1-year coverage of insurance policy. We purchased it or we paid it today, October 7. So, 12 months or 1 year. So, kailan mag-i-end yung ating insurance policy, yung term natin? Mag-i-end pa ng next year. So, kung October 7 tayo, so mag-i-end pa siya ng September 2021. Example, gagawa ka ng financial report pagkatapos ng October 31. 31 days ba October? Yes. 31 days yung October natin. So, yung magmumula ng November, December hanggang next year, yung prepaid expenses natin, yung unexpired portion, hindi pa gamit. Okay? Okay, unused supplies. So, the term itself, unused, ibig sabihin, hindi pa gamit. Bigyan natin ng example para easy to understand. Sa office setting, ano bang ginagamit sa office? We have the inks for our printers, we have the ball pens, we have the bond papers, the book papers, etc. So, yung mga supplies na hindi pa gamit talaga, asset yun. So, we call that unused supplies. So, kung office supplies siya, pwede mong sasabihin, unused office supplies. Example naman, another example, kung sa laundry shop, yung mga sabon, etc. na hindi pa nagamit. So, pwede mong tawagin unused laundry supplies. Paano kung yung mga cellophane mo doon sa tindahan, merchandising concern, yung mga cellophane mo na hindi nagamit doon, pamalot mo. So, pwedeng unused store supplies. So, ganun siya mag-classify. So, maliwanag ba kung ano yung current assets? Yung mga pinakita ko dito, hindi ito lahat. Ito yung mga karaniwang ginagamit sa day-to-day. So, ito yun. So, itong current assets, pwede ko siyang dumami depende sa business enterprise. Okay? So, itong ating dalawa, the notes receivable and accounts receivable, meron tayong contra-valuation account dito. Meron itong kalaban. So, kung merong kalaban, so, imbis na aangat, imbis na mag-i-increase, magdi-decrease siya. Ang contra-valuation account natin, tinatawag nating allowance for doubtful accounts. Another accounting terminology, allowance for doubtful accounts. Yung doubtful accounts, kung sa Bisaya pa, duha-duha ka. Okay, no? Makulek ba o hindi? Parang ganon. Or tinatawag din natin itong allowance for bad debts. Tinatawag natin allowance for bad debts, bad na utang. Ano ba to? Ito yung a certain provision or a certain estimate that portion of our receivables cannot be collected. May natin example. Based in the industry experience or based in the company experience, for example, for 100,000 or 100%, meron talagang portion doon hindi talaga makokolect. Aminin, di ba? Totoo po yun. Example, balikan natin sarili natin. Example, marami tayong pera by the time. Yung best friend natin, nagsabi sa atin, amiga, friend, can I borrow a money from you? Promise, I'll pay it tomorrow. At sabihin natin, pinautang mo siya ng 1,000. Pagdating ng tomorrow, it's not 100% to tomorrow talaga makapagbayad siya. It might be magpapartial lang siya. At baka yung remaining, hindi na talaga mababayaran. So, yun yung example na ito yung typical explanation ng counter-valuation account. So, nagsiset up ka ng certain allowance or provision na pwede mo hindi mo collect. So, nire-record yan sa books of accounts natin. Okay? Now, let's go to the non-current assets. Ito yung kontra, opposite ng current assets natin. Okay? A typical example, lupa. Yan. The land. Yan. We have the building. Ano ba yung building natin? Yung kinatitirikan ng, yung building, yung nakatayo sa land natin. Which is, ano bang purpose? Bakit bibili tayo ng building? Para doon tayo magkakandak ng business natin. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin ng building. It is a finished construction na gagamitin natin for the operation of our business. Okay? We have the furniture and fixtures. Ano ba yung typical example? Ito yung mga mesa natin, the chairs, the tables. Okay? Yun ang furniture and fixtures natin. Okay? Kung sa tindahan, yung mga shelves mo doon, so pwedeng ganun. The equipment, so pwede itong computers natin, ayan, machineries natin, pwede dyan. Okay, wherein, among of the non-current assets na enumerate natin, the land, the building, furniture and fixtures, the equipments, yung land natin, hindi yan bumababa ang value. So, hindi siya nagdi-depreciate kung di-depreciate another accounting terminology. Instead, itong ating land, nag-increase ang value nito over time, so nag-a-appreciate siya. Example nga, pag bumili tayo ng land today, sabihin natin for 1 hectare, we bought it for 100,000. What do you think will be the market price or the fair market value after 2 years? Do you think ganun pa rin ang amount? The answer is no. Tataas na yung lupa natin. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng mag-a-appreciate yung value. But the building, the furniture and fixtures, the equipments, do you think ba tataas ang value nito over period of time? The answer is no. Why? Because due to passage of time, talagang due to wear and tear, okay, no? So, luluma at luluma yan. So, ang value noon, mag-depreciate. So, bababa ang value. So, meron, of course, kung bababa ang value, meron tayo sa accounting na tinatawag natin contra-valuation account. We call that accumulated depreciation. Para bang yung computers natin, yung cellphone natin, or the laptop natin, bagong-bago pa ngayon. At the end of 1 year, di ba luluma yun? So, magdi-depreciate siya. Magiging obsolete siya. So, ito yung ibig sabihin ng accumulated depreciation. Okay. Which is, mas mapalalim pa natin maiintindihan yan pagdating sa pag-discuss natin ng ating adjusting entries. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the liabilities. Ito na naman yung financial obligation natin. In Tagalog, that is our utang. Okay, financial obligation to our creditors. So, tayo nangungutang doon. Okay, wherein this is classified into the current liabilities and the non-current liabilities. Wherein the current liabilities, ito yung babayaran natin within the normal operating cycle of the business or within 1 year. Kung ano yung mas maliwanag doon. Okay? So, ayan. While the non-current liabilities, syempre kung ating current liabilities ay payable within 1 year from the balance sheet date, or it is payable, it is a financial obligation within the normal operating cycle of the business, itong non-current assets natin is payable over 1 year. So, long-term kumbaga. Ito yung hindi nakakamit doon sa criteria ng current liabilities. We have that. Example of our current liabilities, we have the accounts payable. So, ano ba yung accounts payable natin? Sabi natin, ito lang yung financial obligation natin, utang. Pero, verbal lang, promise to pay lang. Okay? Example, pumunta ako sa tindahan, nangutang ako doon. Can I have the tuna flakes in oil? Pero, wala akong pambayad. Can I pay it next month? Oh, next month, ganun lang inutang mo. So, a promise to pay to our creditor. Yung pinag-utangan natin, promise to pay lang. Yan ang accounts payable natin. While the next one, the notes payable, which is short term, kasi nga current liabilities, utang natin na babayaran within 1 year from the balance sheet date. For example, balance sheet date mo ay December 31, 2019. So, babayarin mo hanggang December 31, 20. Yan, the next calendar year. Ayan yung notes payable natin, parehas na financial obligation, kailang it is evidence of a promissory note. So, kung tayo nangungutang, mag-e-execute ako ng promissory note dun sa pinag-uutangan ko, ayun ang tinatawag natin notes payable. Contrast ng accounts payable na just a promise to pay. I promise to pay tomorrow. Ganun siya. Notes payable, tatandaan natin, evidence by a promissory note, which is, again, it might be interest-bearing or non-interest bearing. So, yun ang notes payable natin. The next one, accrued expenses. Naalala nyo, nag-discuss tayo ng accounting assumptions, which is accrual basis assumption of accounting. We discussed there the accrued income and the accrued expenses. Itong accrued expenses natin, ito yung expenses already incurred pero hindi pa natin nabayaran. So, utang, kaya utang siya. Okay. Next is the pre-collected or unearned income. In short, ito lang naman yung advance collection. Bigyan natin ng example para maintindihan natin paano naging utang ang pre-collected or unearned. The term self, ito yun sa English natin, and diba not? So not earned, not yet realized. Example, paborito ko yung paglalaba laundry shop. I get a suki, I get a client. Marami kasi akong clients. Tapos gusto niya magbigay sa akin ng advance para sa laundry services na i-render ko in the future para sa kanya. Say for example, December 29, 2019, nagbigay siya sa akin ng 10,000 as advance payment of the laundry services that I will render in the future. So, utang ko pa yun. Bakit? Hindi pa ako nakapag-render ng services sa kanya. So, kaya utang ko pa sa kanya yun. Kaya, nabibilong siya sa current liability. Now, let's discuss the non-current liabilities. We got there the notes payable long-term, that is payable over 1 year. So, long-term obligation. Mortgage payable. Ayan, utang. It's a financial obligation sa ating mga lending institution or the financing institution. Example, to the bank. So, hindi pwedeng mangungutang ka doon na wala kang collateral. So, it is an utang that has a collateral. Example, i-collateral mo yung titulo ng lupa mo, yung ownership mo sa building, yan. O kaya, ito yung parabang prenda ang term, yan yung mortgage payable natin. And I do hope na naiintindihan natin. Kaya masyado kong hinahaluan ng Tagalog para mas ma-comprehend natin. Okay, masyado kasi malalim yung mga accounting terminologies. Dahil natin sa layman's concept. The owner's equity, na-discuss na natin yan. Ito yung puhunan, net worth. Ito yung galing talaga sa bulsa mo. Okay? So, ayan, residual, natira. Balikan natin yung internet cafe natin sa previous example. Para maalala lang natin, ma-review natin. Magkano yan yung required capitalization again? 100,000. Magkano ang pera na meron ka? 50,000 lang. So, magkano yung utang mo? 50,000. So, yung net worth mo doon is 50,000. So, residual amount after deducting liabilities ito from assets. So, kung ang utang mo ay 50,000, ang assets mo ay 100,000, paano naging 100,000 ang assets mo? Meron kang 15 na sa iyo talaga galing na bulsa, may 50,000 ka na inutang mo, kaya 100,000 yung assets mo. Minus the liabilities, borrowings mo na 50,000, that's why ang owner's equity mo or net worth is 50,000 pesos. Now, the revenues. The revenues, ang sales, yan. Income, yung sales natin, saan mo ba yan makikita na nature and business? Sa merchandising concern. Kasi buy and sell ka doon. O kaya doon sa manufacturing concern. Pag nagbenta ka na ng mga finished goods mo. So, sales yun siya, ang tawag. Paano naman kung sa nature ng business na service concern? So, nagkakaroon ka ng income after rendering service to your client. So, tinatawag nating service income. Or, pwede mo rin siyang service fee, or kung nag-render ka ng professional services, pwede mong tatawagin professional income or professional fees. Kung nagpaparenta ka ng building, rental income. Kung nagpapautang ka with interest, so interest income. Gain on sale of other assets, pag nagbenta ka at guminansya, for example, ang net book value ng other asset mo ay 50,000 at ibinenta mo ng 60,000, definitely you have 10,000 gain on sale of other assets. And let's go to the expenses, the gastusin. Alam ko meron kayong idea. Ano ba yung mga gasto mo as student? Pamasahe. Okay, pagkain mo. Nagpa-photocopy ka. So, yan typical expenses. Okay? So, sa business, kung meron tayong sales, yung meron siyang kakontra, the cost of sales. Kumbaga, yan yung pinaka-cost ng mga binenta mo. Ayan. Para ba siyang puhunan doon sa binenta mo. Okay? We have also the supplies expense, yung mga ginamit mo para makapag-income ka. So, kung ano yung mga ginamit mo, example, sa laundry shop. So, pwedeng makakaroon ka ng a laundry supplies expense. So, ito, general siya. Pwede mo po siyang ma-refine depende sa nature of business natin. O, nagbayad ka ng sahod, salaries and wages expenses. Nagbayad ka ng insurance na expired na siya, insurance expense. Rent expense, taxes and licenses, nagbayad ka doon sa munisipyo ng mga business permits. Nagbayad ka ng tax due mo, ayan siya. Pumunta ka sa LTO, ayan. Taxes and licenses siya. Uncollectible accounts, naalala yung na-discuss tayo dun sa contra-valuation account ng notes receivable and accounts receivable. So, ito yung ka-counter niya, uncollectible accounts or bad debts expense. And depreciation expense kontra asset ng ating property and equipment, na furniture and fixtures or equipment or building. We have there the accumulated depreciation. Ito yung kakontra niya. Ito yung kapartner niya rather. We call that depreciation expense, which is madidiscuss natin in brief pagdating sa ating discussion sa ating adjusting entries. Papasok pa po siya sa midterm natin. All of our accounting elements, ayan. Meron tayong, ano yung accounting elements natin? Meron tayong acronym na ALOEDRE. Which is, under those ALOEDRE, nagkakaroon tayo ng different accounts. We have there sa ating assets. Meron tayo doon cash, receivables, notes receivable, inventories, prepaid expenses, unused supplies, the land, the building, furniture and fixtures, okay, machineries or equipment. Ayan. There, because we have the accounts payable, notes payable, the mortgage payable, for the owner's equity, we have the capital. All of that, tinatawag nating mga account. Okay, tinatawag nating mga account. Okay, ano ba yung account? Na-discuss na natin, actually na-explain ko pa ano ba yung klaseng mga account, pero ano ba talaga yung account? Isa na naman itong descriptive item or storage unit wherein it summarizes the effect or it shows the increase and the decrease that affects our accounting elements based on the business transactions or events. Again, isa na siyang storage unit. Isa siyang storage unit wherein it shows the increase or decrease based on the effect sa ating accounting elements because of the business transaction. Ibig sabihin, ang nare-record na pala sa libro natin, lahat ng transaction na maaapektuhan ang ating accounting elements. Yan yung account natin. Which is, tinatawag din ang account na account titles. So, itong account titles, meron pang isang pangalan yan, account name as in name na pangalan, again, the account titles, and the account name, pare-parehas lang yan. Depende kung paano gamitin. Pero parehas lang ang paggamit natin noon. Parehas lang ang pagkaintindi natin. Storage unit lang siya na nagpapakita ng effect ng isang business transaction sa ating accounting elements. Pag-ipunin natin yan ang ating pag-ipunin natin yung account natin or account titles, matatawag natin yung chart of accounts. Again, ano yung chart of accounts? It's just listing of all the accounts. So, listing of all the accounts based in our accounting elements. Meaning to say, sa paggawa ng chart of accounts natin, nakapasunod ang presentation according to our ALOEDRE. So, huwag kakalimutan si ALOEDRE. Again, chart of accounts, listing lang siya ng lahat ng ating accounts, account titles na nakakapaloob sa ating accounting elements. We call that ALOEDRE. So, paano ba paggawa ng chart of accounts? Sino ba ang gumagawa ng chart of accounts? Ang sagot doon is very simple. So, pwedeng gumawa nun ng accountant or pwedeng gumawa ang bookkeeper. Paano ang paggawa nila? Paano pag-identify? The answer is depending on the nature of the business or depende sa business enterprise. Okay? So, ganun siya. Which is, ipapakita ko sa inyo soon kung ano yung typical example ng chart of accounts at kung paano siya gawin.